Hey there, everybody. Welcome. How are you today? My name is Petrov Brugan, and thank you so much for being here live and direct on the 4th of December, 2021. I have a little bit of a different show for you lined up today, and I will be talking about that very soon. But before I do that, of course, we do need to do what we always do, and that is, of course, a quick welcome and check-in before we really delve into some topics that I have to do. And but before I do that, and I will give you some time to say hello and tell me where you're from, I will talk to you about what you can expect in this video, because this video is a little bit different than other Apple MacBook reviews. That's one. And the second thing is that it's also a little bit of a different video that I typically do. So we're trying to check things out a little bit and try to figure out what we can do. So again, welcome. Normally we do a lot of information, talk about live streaming, video and audio productions. And today, actually, we're still going to do that because I have a new product, what I'm really excited about. And that is, of course, the new MacBook Pro. This is the box that it came into. So it states MacBook Pro right there. Logo there, MacBook Pro right there. For some reason, it does not want to come on because I'm in focus for some reason. But that's okay. But this is the box, and of course, I already opened it up. I already have been using it. This is the system, the new MacBook Pro. And we're going to talk about that. I'm going to do it a little bit differently than other people are doing it. I will actually give you also a little bit of a history, look back on why I think that this is a very interesting product. Nevertheless, of my use cases. Then, of course, we're going to talk about my use cases so that it will maybe hopefully help you to decide if you want to do it or not. And at the final, and the last topic of today will be about next week, because that's going to be a little bit of a different show as well. So a lot of things going on in the month of December. All right. So without further ado, let's check out who is in the house so that we can say hello to everybody. I do need to do some preparations here. I do see MT is in the house as always. Welcome, MT. Really appreciate you for taking the time. And you're asking, how am I? I'm actually doing very well. Keith says, let's do this. Yep, that is the way that it goes. And also Raul is in the house. He says, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are watching live or after the fact on a different day. Welcome, nevertheless. Let me see if I have some other people joining. I do see my dad is also in the house. Welcome to my dad. Gerard is also in the house. Grüßen aus Stuttgart. Welcome. MT says, I think the camera likes you more than the MacBook. Oh, that might be it. Okay, I think that I might have, for some reason, switch. Doesn't this work? Oh, it does work. Okay, perfect. All right. Anyway, okay. So yes, that was a check-in. Okay, so typically what happens if you have a MacBook review, people are talking about Geekbench and Cinema 4D and giving you a lot of numbers, etc. I'm not going to do that, basically because I know it's already fast and a lot of people already have shown you that. And also, if you look at the topics that people have about if you need to go with the 16-inch or the 14-inch or the MacBook Air or the MacBook or whatever, everybody has his or her own use cases. And so I'm not going to tell you which one you should take. That's all up to you. What I will talk to you about, though, is why I think it's a really nice product. I'm going to show it to you one more time, and hopefully I can make it a little bit more sharp. So this is the lid. It's a really nice logo. And this is the back with the MacBook Pro and how does it say? The MacBook Pro is inside of it. And here you have a lot of different connectors. What you see here is the MagSafe, which is back. You see two USB C ports that are acting also as a Thunderbolt 4 port. Hey, wink, wink. Do you know what I mean? Yes, indeed, I have a Thunderbolt enclosure. So this was already by design. And then, of course, you have a headphone, which seems to be a very high impedance headphone. Then we've got an SD slot right there, another USB-C slot right there, and a full-size HDMI port as well, which we're going to use today in the demo. That's right, we're going to demo the product a little bit, and I will also show you what it looks like. And yes, it's so new that I'm actually still using this part right here. I am actually going to show you what the system looks like from nearby by using my phone. So there you go. So this is the system right here. As you can see, it's quite small, 14-inch. And you do see that it's a very nice product. Now, one of the major things that people are talking about all the time is the notch. Well, the notch is right there, but it's barely visible. That's because I actually chose for a background that is very, well, happily camouflaging it, but it's still visible there. And the notch is, for me, not a big problem because unlike the other systems, this part right, the top part right here is additional space. So your screen by itself is bigger than you typically would have. And this is what the keyboard layout looks like. I have chosen for the US version. So if you're from the US, this will look very familiar. But if you're from Europe, it might be that this is a little bit of a different look and feel for you. But I do like to have all of my laptops in US English and a big trackpad right there. Now, what I have done is here, I will show you the system settings right here. So that is the settings right there. There it is. There it is. Almost there. Almost there. Well, I'm going to read it up then for you. MacBook 14-inch, and it's the Apple M1 Mac, and it has 32 gigs of RAM, and of course it has the built-in liquid display right there. And the storage is 1 terabyte, and as you can see, I'm not using a lot here. It's very minimalistic. By the way, you might have seen that I have put my finger on top of it. That's because that was my serial number, and I don't know if it has some kind of added value for you if you're doing all kinds of different things. So that is the reason why I did that. Now, that is a little bit of how it looks like in real life. I'm going to remove this application and make sure that I have you again so that I can see if you have any questions or remarks. Jesus, welcome. Good afternoon from Madrid, Spain. I hope that I pronounced your name then correctly, Jesus. Really appreciate you for being here. And also, Marjolein is also in the house. Welcome back. Hi, everyone. Good to see everyone again. Joining a bit late. Looking forward to the show. As always, thank you so much, Marjolein. And a lot of people are talking to each other, which I love. So thanks so much for doing that. All right, so that is the system. I just wanted to show it to you how it looks like. I do think it looks fantastic. Did I again? No, I didn't. Cool. It looks very fantastic. I love the space gray look. It's my very first space gray one, but it's not my first Mac. So now let's talk about why I've chosen for spending the money again for a new system. Well, it all starts with the older system that I have and the system that I have right here. This is an old beast. This is the MacBook of 9 years ago. 9 whole years ago. It's still usable. It's still something that I can use, but not, of course, for video productions or big changes or something. Then this becomes a little bit of an issue. It is a i7 processor. It's an Intel processor, of course. It is 15-inch, and it has served me well. And a lot of people were talking about that the ports are back. Now, to be honest, this system had all of the ports that you just saw, but then in older technology. So, for example, not USB-C, but USB-A, and not Thunderbolt, but Firewire. So you can see that even though it's a little bit different, it is still there. Let me go back to, there you go. So this is 9 years ago, and that system has been good to me for at least 7 years of that lifespan. So the first 6 to 7 years were tremendously great. I could do everything that I wanted, with the exception of live streaming. And that's where the reason became apparent that I needed to have a laptop or a computer that could actually do that. Back then, you could not do that on a laptop, so I actually purchased this one in front of me, what we're actually looking at, as a Windows box. But deep in my heart, I still loved the Mac because it's, for me, more logical, and it's also, for me, also a little bit more safe. So I'd rather have my documents, my personal documents, and my personal photos saved in the Apple ecosystem and not so much on the Windows file system or Windows ecosystem. So that is the reason why on all of my Windows systems, I don't have any personal data. It's just I do not do that. So that is the reason why I'm still very interested in the Mac. And okay, so that 9 years it took me to purchase this one in front of me, and so I do want to talk to you about why. So I will talk about the use cases, and I will also talk about the conversation starter that Marjolein is talking about, definitely. But after I show you a little bit of a history why I think that this product is amazingly cool. And it has everything to do, of course, with the chip that Apple created. Now, I am trying to do that on 2 computer screens. So that's going to be quite a challenge. And as a matter of fact, now I cannot see anything at the moment, which is great. So let me get back to slide 1, because I have prepared something for you. And I will, there you go. Okay, so I will now go to this slide right here. And this is the first slide that I want to talk to you about because it's important to understand. So with the new Apple M1 series, Apple actually created a, how to say that, a ecosystem that is comprised of multiple different components, but 3 of them are very important. These are the performance core, the efficiency core, and the GPU core. And of course, I think that everybody understands the GPU core because that's a graphical processing unit. That is the tool that is actually used to show the graphics. But the other parts are not so well known, and these are the main components. So the CPU, as you called it previously, is more the Firestorm and the Ice Storm core, and those are aliases that Apple uses to distinguish between versions of the cores. But I will also focus only on those 3. So the performance core, the efficiency core, and the graphics core to make it easier to understand. But note that in the CPU, there are far more different topics than you actually that we're going to talk about. There are machine learning cores, there are neural engines, there are security enclaves, I/O, is organized, and the media encoders. Actually, the media encoders I should have actually put in, looking into it, but I didn't. So I will be talking about that in the voiceover. And I want to really go into this because these 3 cores and the Firestorm, the Ice Storm cores are actually, and this is where the kicker starts, these are also available in the A14 Bionic. So the A14 Bionic is literally on my phone. So this phone actually has the Firestorm core and the Ice Storm core. That's on this phone, literally this phone, the iPhone 12 Pro. And I want to show you how this phone relates to this computer. Be aware that you see that it states A14. And I think that A14 is really important to note because Apple started building their own system on the chips, or the system of system on a chip CPU, as early as the A4, and as early as A7 they really were in charge of the full design. So A7 was also the first 64-bit desktop class system on a chip, which is about 6-7 years ago. So if people talk to you and say, but Apple, wow, they really knocked it out of the park. They just started out of scratch with M1. Wow, that is very, 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 that's impressive. Know that it actually took them about 10 years to get there already. So they were planning well ahead of it. And the A14 Bionic is definitely a starting point for that. And again, this is available amongst others in the iPhone 12 and L8 and the iPhone 12 Pro. Now, of course, last year, Apple introduced the M1. And the M1 was, of course, available in the MacBook Air, the Mac Mini, the MacBook Pro 13-inch. Later this year, in the iMac 24-inch and the iPad Pro even. So what is the difference? What happened? Well, they actually still used the same elements, but they increased the amount of cores. So now you, out of a sudden, have 4 performance cores that's used for high compute, high power calculations, and 4 Ice Storm cores, which is more for efficiency. And they are, of course, not so much that they are very friendly to batteries, but they also increase the amount of GPUs. So either you have 7 GPUs or 8 GPUs. And let's go back one time. So we already had 4 Ice Storm cores in the iPhone and 2 high performance cores in the iPhone 14. By the way, the A15 Bionic has exactly the same cores, Firestorm and Ice Storm, but it's then called Avalanche and something else, which I'm now skipping. But it has 1 additional GPU core. And this is, of course, adding to complexity, adding to functionality. And yes, they are using binning, which means that that unlike previously, where if you don't meet the criteria, you have to throw away the GPU or the chip. You can actually bin it to a lesser amount, and that will then mean that you don't have 8 GPUs but 7 GPUs, but it's still a functional system. So that was the M1, and that was released in 2020. In October of this year, they finally launched 2 additional chips, all of the M1 setup. And the first one of that is the M1 Pro. And this is what happens with the M1 Pro. You immediately see a doubling of the GPU cores. And you also see that there's more Firestorm cores and less Ice Storm cores. So the Ice Storm, again, efficiency, maybe a little bit for background processes. And the Ice Storm cores are really adding up at the moment. Note for the M1 Pro, there is binning again, so you either can choose between 6 Firestorm cores or 8 Firestorm cores, and of course, again, 8 more performance than 6, and of course less GPUs also has less performance than the other one. So that is the M1 Pro, and yeah, okay, I'd love to finalize the whole thing. The M1 Max has also been released, of course, and you will see that on the left-hand side, nothing really changes. It's roughly the same, but the GPU cores are really going, oops, wrong way. But the GPU cores are really adding a lot to the mix, as you can see. And this is where you see that you have 24 GPU cores or 32 GPU cores. And as a matter of fact, if you want to know, I am using the 24 cores GPU and the M1 Max. I have 32 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte drive. So I did that on purpose to show you how close they're related. This one and this one right here, so closely related. I was blown away when I made this this week, that it's so close to each other, and I just wanted to let you know that that's the case. And for me, it's also one of the major reasons why I really like it. You might not know, but maybe I should tell you. I work in a high-tech company that produces machines, that produces computer chips. As a matter of fact, the computer chips are going through our machines, this one and the other one as well. So I am really happy with that, because of course that makes me proud. But it's also something that I'm still amazingly impressed about. Let me check what you guys thought about that small demo. Yeah, great. SD slot is indeed a full size indeed. Do you get to retire your older laptop now? Yes, I will indeed. And great, good to know. Yes, the background topics indeed. That is great. And okay, what is the first app you installed? Okay, so I think that this is one of the reasons why I really liked this hardware. Now, indeed, let's talk about applications, use cases. For me, there are several use cases. You might not know, but I think that I'm a very graphical person, and I like to do a lot on graphics and maybe also a little bit on audio. So I want to have something that delivers good quality, and where this laptop really shines is the screen. This screen is absolutely phenomenal. I cannot show it to you. So good is it. It is looks a lot like OLED. It's not OLED. It's a separate. It's a little bit of a different technology, but black is black, and the other colors are really popping, and it's really a nice way to look at content, especially if it's HDR content. Then it's really even better, because what the system does is that with normal content it's 500 nits, and with HDR I think it's 1000 nits or something. It's like really, really bright, and I really enjoy it. And that's also one of the major issues that I have with the MacBook. What did you say, Petra? Do you have an issue with it? Yes, I have a luxury issue with it. The luxury issue is that I want to have a big screen to do my job with this. It's also the reason why I've chosen for the 14-inch, not for the 16-inch. I'd rather pay those €200 difference for a big screen than having a 16-inch and then again needing to buy a big screen. For me, this is perfect. I also like the form factor. It's really easy to bring along. But that being said, I also know that unlike with the previous version that I had, the 9-year-old laptop, I have decided that this laptop will be used as a desktop replacement, even though it's small. Reasoning, of course, it's very expensive, and I just don't feel confident that I can bring it along to wherever I want, especially on locations. I just don't want to take that risk. So I will keep it right here. So that means that I'm not going to really use it for live streaming. I'm going to use it for other possibilities. So what are the use cases then? Well, the first use case that I'm going to use it for is editing. I have, for example, DaVinci on it. That is my first application that I actually installed, DaVinci Resolve, and I'm using it with this product. This is, of course, the speed editor. And for people that do not know me that well, one of the reasons why I started going live was that I really started to hate editing. I really hated it. I did love it for a long time, for like 3-4 years. I loved it, but because of the stress that I needed to deliver every single week a piece of content, I was like, I really don't like it anymore. And that was the reason why I actually moved towards live streaming. But with the introduction of this tool, it became fun again, because you can just use this jog wheel very easily, and it has a very nice laid out setup, and it's very easy to use together with DaVinci Resolve on the cut page. So that's the second page in DaVinci. There is where it really shines, and I will definitely use it for more editing. Will I create more edited content on this channel? Yes. However, I think it's going to be roughly the same as I did last week. So a bit of a hybrid, so that I can speed up a little bit time, however, still be live, because I really love the interaction live. So editing is definitely one of the most important things. So I installed Blackmagic immediately, the Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve. And I do have the studio version, hence I also have a dongle. Now, I do know that you can also download DaVinci Resolve and get a license key, and then you don't need a dongle. However, what I really like about having the dongle, and I do not know if that is also the case with if you have that license that you have to fill in, but with this, I can also use Fusion Studio without the additional cost. So it's literally, you've got Fusion and you've got the DaVinci Resolve in one go, and it just works. Yes, this is the sole dongle that I actually purchased because of the new MacBook, because this dongle is still the old USB setup and not USB-C. So there's only one dongle that I really needed to work with. Again, with 3 USB-C ports that are acting as a Thunderbolt port, and a full-on HDMI and an SD card slot. There's really no reason to have more dongles, unlike if you would have a different system. But Petra, if you are using this for at home only, does that mean that you do not have anything else for on location? Well, I am pretty sure that I will be purchasing a different Mac product, and it's either going to be the Mac Mini or the MacBook Air for on location work. Will I do that anytime soon? No. This is way too expensive. I really need to start to save some money again. But definitely for on location, I will do that, because I finally can replace my 9-year-old system, which I will be still using, to be honest, but for other purposes. I will most likely be using this system for an additional rendering farm-ish that I'm thinking about. Yep. So I don't have to work with this. And the MacBook Air is definitely also gonna replace this old Surface that I have. Why do I have this Surface? That's maybe important. This Surface I purchased in the US for about $700. It was already, not the top-notch new model. It was an older model that they were selling at that time. And I really liked it back then, and I still like it. The only thing is that it's starting to show its age, and it's already 4 years old, and it was only $600. So that means that will be then the MacBook Air or the Mac Mini would replace that one. But again, that's not now, and it's definitely not going to be the first few months. Then what are so that was the first application that I installed. The second application that I installed was Photoshop. I have a hate-love relationship with Photoshop, to be honest. I think it's way overpriced. I actually had the full Creative Cloud until a month ago. So all of the components, and it was about 55 euros or something. It was quite a lot of expenses. And I was like, yeah, but if I'm going to go to DaVinci Resolve for my editing, it does not make sense for me to have a full Creative Suite. So I actually then at first thought, okay, I'm going to stop fully with Creative Suite. However, I have been trying with Affinity Photo and Pixelmator, but for some reason, I really, really like Photoshop. It's really, for me, straightforward, and I can do whatever I like with it. So that is the reason why I also installed Photoshop, and I'm now paying not 50 euros per month, but 20 euros per month, which still is a lot of money, but at least it's better. That was the second application that I've installed on the system. The first is, even though it's a little bit awkward, it's Final Cut Pro 10. The reasoning behind that is not so much that I really need it for my editing, but with the Final Cut Pro 10 series, it's easier to download ready-made templates for some things that I want to do. Sometimes you really want to have something for a gig that doesn't take too much time because, well, of course, otherwise if it takes so much time, you will lose a lot of. You're not that efficient, and I'm in an area that the budgets are very small, so yeah, you need to sometimes have the possibility to just load a template. I happen to have the Final Cut Pro 10 on a older Mac right there, so I actually reinstalled it there as well. Not really using it so much again, I installed Ecamm today, but I actually also removed it today. But I might be tempted to use it maybe early next year to show you that you can actually have a full-on production on your MacBook streaming live with Ecamm. So I'm really considering to do that, but I do need to know if you guys are interested in it. So if you would like me to show you a demo on Ecamm on a MacBook, then please say Ecamm yes in the comments, and I will be doing that. Unfortunately, of course, vMix is only available on Windows. Marjolein says, I love your insight. Thank you so much. Raoul says, still don't understand why vMix won't develop a version on macOS. I actually understand that, to be honest, Raoul. vMix is, first and foremost, vMix is not a big team. So there actually, I think that the vMix team is so much people at the most even. So we're talking really about 5 to 10 people that are actually working for vMix. And I would state that the half of them are support engineers, and I would state that at least one is developing. I think that there's only one that's developing at the moment. And that's also the reason why he or they, and it's a small group of people then, are really having to focus on Windows, because otherwise they don't have enough bandwidth to work on both. Next to that, it's optimized to use NVIDIA and Windows drivers. and well, with Mac going away from Intel and going to their own silicon, it becomes very difficult for them to do that. So that is, I think, the reason. But I do really like Phoenix, of course. I would state that they're friends of mine as well. So I have been privileged to work with them 2 times. One time in the US, one time here in Europe. So physically sitting next to them was really cool. However, yeah, of course, due to COVID, that's not possible at the moment. Raul already tested Ecamm and doesn't like it. Okay, that's fair enough. And Gerard says that Ecamm, yes. Okay. All right. Yeah, I am still considering to spend at least one video on it, due to the fact that I think it's good to not only talk about Phoenix, but also other topics, so that at least you have a good feeling on what the possibilities are. So these are the first applications that I've installed, and I did a lot of modifications myself to the look and feel of the system, because I love to have the things in the situation where I want them and not the standard. So I did change quite a lot of things already. Am I ready? No, I'm not, because what I'm also going to install is a IDE for writing in Python. Well, as you might have known or not, I work in a big data environment, and we really use Python quite a lot. And I actually like that piece of that coding as well, also for working on some APIs on YouTube, so that I can also further increase the functionality and also engage with you in a better way. So that's also what I wanted to do as well. So also writing code on that as well. So that's another reason why I will use this system for that. But that is that. But I also want to show you how fast it is. So what I'll do is that I will be taking this HDMI cable right here. And I need to do a little bit of a different, because this HDMI cable is not just about long enough. Actually not. And then I'll just start to open up this system. Oh, that's the wrong. Okay, perfect. And I can then, if all is well, I can then show you a little bit around. So, let's take this one. I need to change something very quickly. Yes. I see that it's not a full screen, but let's see if we can cope with this. All right. So this is the screen that we have right here. And again, this is live. So what I'll do is that I will be adding the dongle so that I can use DaVinci. That's one. And I will be adding an external drive, which is a Samsung drive, a T5. And that's where I will be, where I have all my video. And I need to, it's a bit awkward if you cannot see what you're doing. There you go. Okay, so now I've also added that screen, or that drive, and you can see it right here. So I'll just push it a little bit there so that you can see it. So and now I'm going to open up DaVinci Resolve, and it is the studio version, as you can see, and boom, that's it. I cannot really show you a lot here because it's really from my work. Yes, I do that, but I will show you a little bit, just enough that you can see that it's working, right? So this is the setup that I have, and if all is well, it's also, yeah. So I can actually also utilize, you can see that, wait. I can also use this to control it, which is really cool. I will stop the audio. So there's no audio there. And what I can do now is that I can just run it a little bit. And I can also show you that this is then 0. And at the very end, this is 41 minutes. So this is 41 minutes of video content here. And what I'll do is that I will be making a H.264 video of 41 minutes of HD content. So this is HD content, and I'm going to make it 41 minutes. And I would like to do something. I want you to give me an idea on how much time it will take for me to run that. So I will be waiting for you a little bit to write down the amount of minutes that you think it will take to render 41 minutes of HD content on this MacBook. It has 24 GPU cores, but more importantly, and I didn't say that earlier, is that one of the major reasons why I've chosen for the Max and not the Pro is that it doesn't have one encoder decoder, but 2 encoder decoders. So it is faster for that reason. So again, I would like you to tell me a little bit, how much time do you think that it will take me to render 41 minutes of that? Ryan says 4 minutes. Okay, thanks, Ryan. That's the first one. 6 to 10 minutes, I guess, says MT. Let me show it to you guys. So Ryan says 4 minutes for 41 minutes. MT says 6 to 10 minutes. Maryland says 41 minutes or 1 hour and 41 minutes. No, 41 minutes. No. That's correct, Maryland. It's a little bit awkward. The one is, I don't even understand why it shows it that way, but it's 41 minutes, not 1 hour and 41 minutes. So 41 minutes, 41. I think it takes less than 2 minutes. That would be fast, Maryline. All right, so, yeah, and indeed, Ryan, great to see you indeed. I think that I have waited long enough to show you. So what I'll do is that for the sake of it, I think that I have a previous version. So it might be that you can see what the time is. Yes, you can see what the time is. So I'm going to remove that. So now you cannot see it anymore. So there you go. So we're here again. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a file. I'm going to just call it Taekwondo demo. TC demo. And I am gonna put it on the same drive. So I am going to go to that drive that I've added here. I'm going to call it TC demo. I'm gonna say save. And it's going to be an H.264 at HD content. And I'm going to put it into the render queue. And I'm going to hit render all. There you go. So 41 minutes. And I am now going to go back to this because, of course, I cannot show you everything at the moment. But you do see, I can show you quite a little bit here, how fast it is going, how fast it's actually... that was a bad shot there. But it is going very fast at the moment. And I will be going back as soon as it's ready. In the meantime, let me check. I see Graham in the house. DaVinci's timelines usually start with 1 point. Yeah, that's also what I've seen, but I still don't understand why they do that. Maybe it's timeline 1 or something. I don't know. Okay, so Marjolein says it's less than 2 minutes. I seriously doubt that. Oh, and by the way, the slides, it's still going, as you can see. It's like crazy. It goes very fast. Marjolein already sees where I work because the logo was in the shot. But yeah, it's still going quite well. It's still running. I will go back one more time, but I need to be certain that there's nothing there to show. So there you go. It's still running, and it's currently at 35%. So 35% of 41 minutes, and it has been going on for 2 minutes and 47 seconds. So unfortunately, it's not 2 minutes. That would be very fast, and it might be even that fast on the 32 GPU because it's really linear. So if you have 16 cores, it takes about so much time. If you have 24 cores, it's less, and 32 is even less, like that. So it's very linear. It's at 50%. So it's 50% at 2 minutes 14. So I believe that 4 minutes 20 would be roughly the end result. So that would mean that Keith is very close, and Ryan is very close. So and Raul also. So and again, Ryan says 4 minutes. I think that's very close. Raul says 5 minutes. That's also very close. And Keith also said that. The others are a little bit off, I would state. Still going on. I'm waiting a little bit for something else that I can show you without hampering some. So here you go. It's still running. It's still talking and still doing stuff. So this is my work. So I just want to make sure that I'm not showing you components that I cannot show you. Hence, I'm waiting for some easy setup. And we are at 75% at the moment. We're nearly there. We're nearly at the very end of the shot. Ryan says, I'm currently rendering out a video on the M1 Max 6K raw footage on to 4K 265 and rendering at 65 frames per second or so, but I have seen 950 frames rendering. Yeah, it's crazy. So you also have a M1 Max, Ryan. What kind of system are you using then? I'm interested. Are you using the 16-inch, I presume? And because, oh, by the way, I still don't hear any fans, and I'm actually running the whole shebang via battery. There is no power here, and it doesn't really matter what it is, if it's with power or without power. It's always the same. 97 minutes and counting. I will go back to this because this, boom, done. It is 4 minutes 31. So let me show you that. Oh. So that's what it took. 4 minutes and 31. That is impressive, I would state. Ryan says that he has access, or he has the 16-inch M1 Max 32-core GPU, 64 gigs of RAM. So that's fully spec'd out. I have the 14-inch M1 Max 24-core and 32 gigs of RAM, and I'm also very much impressed by that system. So yes, great. So that is really fast, because if I would do the same thing on my on this system, the old one, and I actually did that earlier on, it took me 40 minutes, 40, like it was real time, which is quite annoying. So that's a big problem. And on my HP Omen, it was 20 minutes. So it's really, really fast. Especially for me, it's like very much increased. Mylan says, so it wouldn't make sense that while on battery, some power preserving mechanism kick in. Yes, you can set that in the Mac OS. You can say that it needs to be more careful, but that has always been a little bit the way that Mac OS works. So they want to give you a good feeling, either with battery or without battery, and that's unlike Windows laptops. Windows laptops always go down in throttle, but Mac laptops do not do that. And I'm still at 30%, 38% of battery power, and this is still it's charged since Sunday, last Sunday. This is a full week of being used. Every single day I've used it, and I have just rendered it, and it's still working like a charm. 30%. That's quite impressive. That being said, I am very typical if it comes to my battery, so I do know that I am really looking into the 80% and 20% marker, because that is the sweet spot if it comes to batteries. So I try to charge it every time it reaches 20%. That's one. The second thing is that I keep it on. I keep the system in sleep mode throughout the week. I only restart it only once. And the reason why I do that is that, well, we have the efficiency cores. And what do the efficiency cores do? They kick in when the system is sleeping. What do? They re-index your spotlight. They download, if you have set it, they download software so that you don't have to wait for it to load or to download when you wake it up again, which I really like. So there's a lot of housekeeping going on under the hood when it sleeps. So, and it's also, what I figured out is that it also then knows what I'm doing. And that seems a little bit like a big brother. I get that. But what I really like about macOS is that it's really looking into, and it's using the neural engines and the machine learning engines to really look at my use case. And if they see that I use this computer more during the weekend and more during the evenings, then it will automatically also change the way that energy is distributed. So it's quite good. It's well thought through. Brian says, "Oh, close. Might be limited to the external drive speed." Yes, that might be the case. I am trying to keep my internal hard drive free of all too much garbage, to be honest. But you can also, of course, push it to the system itself. And yes, I do know that, Ryan, that you're totally 100% right. That because I'm using external drive, it does cut down the time. So I think that you're right that the bottleneck is actually the external drive at the moment, not so much the rendering capacity. I do know that this one is quite fast, but it's definitely not as fast as the internal SSD drive in the laptop. I do know that OWC uses a version that is really powerful, and I thought that I had a note on that one. Let me check if I can find that, because I am really considering to occasionally one day, hopefully soon. I cannot find it. I think that no, I don't have it. I think that I've removed it. But OWC creates a version that actually has very fast. It's like 98% as fast as the internal one. So yes, you're right. It can be faster. Q says 29 seconds faster than I guessed. Yes, indeed. Marlon says it would be interesting to have both Ryan and yourself test rendering the exact same time. Yes. Oh, it's on the same file. Yes, that would be very interesting, and I think that we should do that. And we should then also use the internal drive to verify that, but that would be definitely a good thing. 10 times faster in only 9 years. Yes, Keith, that is correct. But I do recall the days that this is a long time ago when I had a Windows computer with the Pentium 75. So I work, as you might know already, I work for the local radio and TV station, and back then I was volunteering. And what I did was that every Friday evening I went to the record store here where I live to grab 10 CDs to create the top 10 singles. And I then ripped all of the CDs locally on the drive. But back then on the Pentium 75, it took literally the same amount of time than the song took to create an MP3 file. So anyway, if it was 3 minutes, it would also take 3 minutes to create that MP3 file. Nowadays, it's like, whoop, done. It's crazy. Crazy times. What external hard drive do you use? I love the T5 by Samsung. It's, again, not the fastest, but I really love it. It's also a very nice setup. And above that, the T5 is also one that is also recommended to use with the ATEM Mini for ISO recording. So that was the reason why I bought that one as well. And indeed, it is the T5. That means that it will read write at 450 megabytes per second. And I can tell you that the internal SD drive on the laptop is way faster than that. All right. So you saw how fast it was. I think I'm flabbergasted by this. I was looking at it the first time that I did this, and I was like, no, that fast? Again, on my 2-year-old Windows box, it took 20 minutes. On this computer, it took 4 minutes, which is crazy. So that's it. All right. So what I've done, I've talked to you about my use cases, and of course, I am not going to tell you which one that you need to get. I hope that it makes sense that I went for the Max, and I hope that it will give you an idea if you want to do it or not. I love it. I really think it's a fantastic computer, and again, this is a desktop replacement for me, unlike maybe other people that want to really have it as a laptop. So that was the content of today. I hope that you liked it. I will talk about next week now. Next week we'll do a last episode of the year show, which means that I'm going to look back at 2021, talking about Taekwondo, talking about our community, what I liked about it, and also about the things that were most impressive this year of 2021. So next week will be the last episode of Taekwondo of this year. And then after that, I'll take 3 weeks off and I'm going to build me some Lego. Yes, I really love building Lego. That's one of my hobbies. And I typically do that during the autumn and in the winter months. But this time around, I also want to at least have some time off also to see my dad, especially because the Saturdays that will follow is the 18th, which is just a normal Saturday. But the 25th is, of course, Christmas. And I believe that you guys have other things to do during Christmas, like myself. So I will not be going live at that time. And the week after, it's going to be the 31st of December. And I believe that you also want to do something else on the 31st of December. like I do. So that is the reason why those two days plus the additional 18th of December will be 3 Saturdays off from me. But we'll be back on the 8th of January. And I hope to see you in a good health and also that. But next week again, I will be back one more time. Marlene says, bring the Lego creation on show in January. I will definitely do that, Marlene. It will most likely be more than one set, to be honest, Marlene. I know myself, it's going to be, I have a backlog that is so impressively big that, yeah, I'm not going to finish everything. But, yeah, I really love Lego. Ryan says, a Lego live stream. Well, only if you guys really would like me to do that one day. I can do that for a small one. I can definitely do it. Build the Millennium Falcon, Keith says. Well, I already did that. I already did that, Keith. I actually can show you. Wait a sec. I'm not going to show you my whole room, but I can show that to you. Let me... the other thing is that I don't know if you can hear that. If I'm going there, I cannot hear it, but I can show you what I have there, if you'd like. So I need to open up the camera. Oh, I need to remove this HDMI cable because otherwise everything will go haywire here. So I will remove this one. I will close DaVinci Resolve. So I will eject the drive. There you go. And then I will put the system to sleep. All right. So you guys wanted to see the Millennium Falcon. Is that something that you would like to see? Then I'll just go ahead and go there and show it to you. Just make sure that this HDMI cable is not hindering me. Like yours in your backyard. Okay. So what I'll do is that I will put my hand in front of the lens because I don't want to show you everything in my living room. Just because it's a garbage head there at the moment. But I will show you the Millennium Falcon. And I will make sure that I have audio. So you will hear double audio for just a minute. But that will be very short. And it is gone. And I will do this. And I will be back very shortly. So I will be now walking to my living room. And I have my hand in front of the lens. It's quite dark in the living room, so I hope that it's visible. But this is the Millennium Falcon right there. So that is really a big beast. Let me show you the other side a little bit. So that is the Millennium Falcon. And if you really want to know if I have more than one, I also have these right here. So now going back to the studio. And I'm back in the studio. Oh. Okay, I think that you should... There you go. All right. So, I hope that you saw that because I could not see if you guys could see that. So, did you... could you see my Millennium Falcon? Spy cam. Jesus says, thanks, Petra. Thank you very much. Marjolein, thank you so much for €5. Absolutely fantastic. Once again, a wonderful session. Thank you so much, Marjolein. Looking great. So you could follow it. Okay, good. Good. Because I could not see anything at that time. Good. Thanks for the tour. Yeah, the next time I will probably do that a little bit better, but again, it's a bit of a mess there, and I don't want to show you everything. But yeah, but that was my living room, and I really, really, really love my my Millennium Falcon. And there's more. I have way more Lego that I still need to build. But yeah, you know how things go. You have a day-to-day job, and you also want to do other stuff as well. So typically, it's really something for the autumn vacation. So that's October, and I actually built 4 sets during October. And during the December, I always have 2 weeks off. But this year, it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be even more than 2 weeks because I didn't really take vacation this year. So I got my manager said that I needed to take some vacation. Yes, you saw it. That's awesome. Raul says, happy holidays to everybody. Yeah. Again, we're back. We will be back next week. Next week, there will be the last show of this year. We will be looking back in 2021. So it's going to be free format. I also invite you to really tag along and also say what you guys think is the most important thing of 2021. I know what I think is the most important thing already. And I will definitely talk about it. But yeah, let's talk about that next week, and then 3 weeks off, and the 8th of January I will be back with a new series, and I will also then talk about what I think at that time will be the first couple of weeks that we're going to talk about. If it's anything like last year, I do know that what I say in January is not always what will happen. So let's see if that is happening, but we'll see. MT says, I will come and help you out with the build. MT, you should. That would be cool. That would be actually very cool to do that one day. Maybe not during COVID, though. I don't know how. Yeah, I actually do know that it's also not going great in Germany, but it's also not going great here. Although the cases are going down a little again, but that's okay. Keith says, got to go to the Galaxy's Edge and see the full-size model last month. Oh, I am so jealous, Keith. Thank you for saying that. No, I would love to see that. Which Galaxy did you go to? Is that Florida or California? Because I know that there are two. So which one did you go to? And what did you like about what is the name again? That tour with the 8080 and the big tour, internal tour. I forgot, but that should be very good. But I'm very, very jealous. All right, so that's all that I have in store for you today. See you next week. Same time, same channel. I was a little bit early today, but that just happened. And I then 3 weeks off, and the 8th, I will be back. Last comment of today. At work, we've got the G3 Plus at the moment. Also, hard time here. Yeah, I know. They're actually... Yeah, I know what G3 means. They are actually at the moment considering G2 here. But I'm really hoping, to be honest, that is not going to happen. I have to be careful with political things. Until now, I'm okay with everything that happened, but the mandatory vaccinations, I don't really like, to be honest. That's getting to that gets a bit too close to my heart. So we'll see. Sorry for that political stuff there. I don't want to do that. California. Okay, cool. That's cool. It was really close, Keith, that I was there as well 2 years ago. But then, of course, COVID happened. Ryan, have a great weekend. Thank you so much, Ryan. And Ryan, when is your video coming out? Is it already out, or you had a video coming out? Is that already Can you maybe mention that? So Ryan has a good video coming. It's on the new Blackmagic camera. Ride of the Resistance. That's it, Keith. Yeah, that's the one that I was talking about. I really would like to see that. Ryan, if you're still here, is it already there or not? Otherwise, please go to Ryan's site, YouTube channel. He will have a video out today, which is really cool. Anyway, thank you so much for being here in an hour or so. So you heard it here first. In an hour or so, Ryan will have a very cool video on the new camera. Oh, it is still processing from 10 hours ago. So that's the thing, yeah. So you win time with the new M1 Max, but you still have to wait for YouTube to catch up. So hoping that the 4K is ready in an hour or so. Yep, gotcha. Anyway, I have to go, guys. Really appreciate it. See you next week for the last show of this year, and hope again to have. If I don't see you next week, then stay safe. Have a great holidays and also a great New Year's. But I still hope that I'll see you next week. Have a good one. Bye bye.